This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code SOCRATES at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenro radio playlist. zenroclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right. Enjoy the show. All right, we're back. I'd just like to quickly clarify on the last podcast, if you heard me say that Joe Rogan was on Podbean for the commercial, that's incorrect. When I said it, and then I was like, because he was on Podbean before, and then I checked it out, and I was like, oh, he's gone now. But it's like, oh yeah, because it's a Spotify deal.
Yeah,
he's on Spotify now.
Right.
But he was on Podbean. So, yeah. That's actually the reason why I chose Podbean in the beginning. Like, apparently there's a bunch of other podcasting platforms, but if you like search podcasting like hosts, that's the main one that comes up, and then it showed like Joe Rogan was on there. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this is the one. This is like the gold standard, I assume. But yeah, I wonder how like Spotify does it. You know, like do they just host their own podcast? Like, I'm assuming they have their own hosting system.
Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah, but maybe you have to be invited to get on there, like. Because Podbean, you can, like, we have our podcast on Spotify, but, like, Podbean, if there's, like, a option where you just click it, and then you can, like, connect it to Spotify. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, right. Yeah. Just saying. Like, I wonder, like, maybe on that deal, like, maybe he's still using Podbean, but then, like, he just turned those off because of the deal, so it's only...
No, I think it's just, it's an exclusive deal, so it's, like, it's only on Spotify.
But you think he's still using Podbean, or...
No. How can you use it?
No, it's just a host though. It's
no.
I
think it's all under Spotify.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he said he has like a team too. That sucks about the whole podcasting market. Like, all right, I didn't expect we talk about this one, but yeah, it sucks about the whole podcasting market that like because people aren't commuting anymore, we're not really listening to, you know.
Yeah. Well, except for me, but I always just listen to talk radio.
Yeah, which is kind of like a podcast technically.
Yeah,
like,
it is. It's kind of,
you know, just like
except
multiple
for the
different
commercials.
guests.
That's the only.
Actually, well, when I do listen to podcasts now, like if I'm driving to go pick up some food, the commercials, they've interwoven them into the podcast now. So like, it's become more like TV, like talk radio.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah.
It's not like in the beginning and the end anymore. It's like they'll cut the podcast and they'll put a ad in between. I feel like that's a little bit too much work. I feel like you need like a team to do that. Actually, most podcasters, they have like a full team. So like the guest and the host, they just speak and then like they hand it over to the editing team and then.
Well, yeah, once you have a big enough team, I think when you're starting off, you don't have that kind of stuff.
Which is why you should check out Podbean. It's great. Great. It's pretty simple. You can get just with Podbean alone, you can get your podcast on Apple and Spotify and all that. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's like $100 a year or something like that, so it's pretty affordable. Anyways, so that was an interesting intro segue, but let's tackle inspiration 4. So we're hitting the future now.
Yeah
So you want to get into what inspiration 4 is, Vish?
Well, it's going to be the first commercial flight. So
that's an important distinction.
Yeah, they're not like NASA astronauts or anything like that. They're
like regular civilians.
Yeah, they're just civilians that are going to be selected for the journey.
Yeah, so basically they're just going to orbit around Earth.
So they're going to be it said multi-day it'll be orbiting Earth at like 90 minutes.
Every 90 minutes.
And the whole journey is controlled by SpaceX mission control.
So like, there's no pilot on this thing.
Well, they might have some training just in case. I don't know.
In case like
right, but
problems happen.
yeah, but everything will be controlled. I mean, as most things are, like already, whenever they were sending supplies to International Space Center, it was all controlled by SpaceX.
Oh,
like,
really?
There was nobody inside the thing.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all like
that's pretty cool.
Automated and control from the mission control.
See, like, that's so interesting how far we've come as a species, that we have like these like remote driven. Well, I mean, if you look at war, right, we have like drones now that drop bombs, right? So why wouldn't you have a remotely driven rocket that goes to space? You know, it just makes sense, because then you don't have to like chance the life of a pilot if things go south.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was for a long time. They could only do that because they didn't have the like, they had
Permits
to pass
or
certain.
something?
Yeah, they had to go through some tests before they can actually put humans in it.
Oh, really? Oh, so that's why they
So
just
like
made
that's
it
why
remote.
we watched that the first their test launch with a person, 2 people inside.
Yep. Oh, you can check that out. We did watch party for that one.
So like that was their first one, which was a success, and then they sent 4
more people.
Yeah, 4 scientists, like up to
cool.
International Space Center, and then so this is going to be the first one with commercial people.
That's cool. It's so fascinating that like NASA was the one that like pioneered space travel, right? But now it's like SpaceX.
Well, it's not just
really
like you can. I want to give it just to NASA. It was a space race, right?
No, totally. But right. I mean, like in America, remember, like there's all those things of when they went to the moon, and then everyone put on the TV in the classrooms to like watch the launch or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and like, so basically what I'm getting at is like Elon Musk was saying how like as a kid you're really excited about space, especially like when they went to the moon, but then they just dropped off. So like SpaceX is the reigniting of that passion.
Yeah.
You know, to get people excited again about space travel.
Yeah.
And like doing this commercial mission, it makes it more tangible for like regular people to like be like, that could be me.
Right. Yeah. So the next few months they should be selecting people. Like, so there's one guy that already bought the seats, like some CEO guy. So they're giving away the 3 other seats, whatever that they need to meet, and then they'll be, once they select those people, they have to go through like training and stuff.
Right.
Physical training and things like that, I think. Prior to, they're expecting to launch like the end of this year or 4th quarter of this year or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's
like
kind of
December-ish, November, December.
Yeah, something like that. So we'll see if that happens, and that'll be the first
Commercial.
Regular people.
Yeah.
Anyway, to go into space.
Remember that video that you showed me of like SpaceX, like what they want to accomplish? Like if you can make commercial travel, like if this thing works, then you could theoretically make like rocket travel around the Earth.
Right. Yeah.
As like so like if you want to get to like, instead of waiting 13 hours to go from like Toronto where we are to Asia, it'll be like I don't know, like an hour or something.
Well, so
they're just gonna shoot into space.
Yeah, exactly. The longest journey would take just an hour.
Yeah, right. So they would just like shoot us into space, and then it sounds so like fantastical. You know what I mean? Like when you hear it, it doesn't sound realistic, but it's happening, you know?
Yeah.
That's what, like, I feel like Elon Musk is really like making the future exciting. Like he said, like he's like, why do I want to wake up every day if the future looks bleak? You know, like let's push humanity forward in a way that like it will excite most people.
Yeah.
Because if it excites people, then money will go towards it, you know? So that's why you have to excite them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle to get SpaceX started, but that was all his money, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And
Self-funded.
to see where it's at after like 10 years or longer, that's pretty.
And it's not even a public company. We looked at that because I was like, oh, we should invest in SpaceX. But the Tesla stock is like 800 USD or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, it went up that was 2020 mainly caused it to go up.
Yeah. So intense. So like if SpaceX ends up going public, that's something that investors should definitely jump on. Yeah. But speaking of crazy, like, futuristic stuff like that, Neuralink. So the thing came out recently about they wired a monkey's brain so they could play Pong.
Right.
Okay. And like, so basically, all right, the foundation of Neuralink is they want to implant wires into our brains to make data transmission faster. So what that means is, like, if you look at your phone and like you want to search something up, the reason why it takes so long is because you have to like open up a browser, type it in, look for what you're looking for. You know what I mean? There's like so many like touch points.
Yeah.
But if it's directly hardwired into your brain, then you're kind of skipping the step, and it makes data transmission faster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, we don't have a, what is it, data issue, we have a bandwidth issue.
Yeah.
Because like bandwidth being like the fastest you can go is like your 10 fingers, or if you're on your phone, it's your 2 thumbs, right? So we can get faster if we have like jacked in wire chips, you know, like like basically like Cyberpunk 2077 if you've played that game. Yeah. And the first step was they got the monkey to play Pong using like wires in its brain. And then the one that I saw recently is music streaming service is the next thing that they're going to do. So they're going to hardwire it into your brain, and you could stream music. That's pretty gnarly, right? So that's the next one they're working on. So they already finished the monkey
the soundtrack of your life.
Yeah, for real, eh?
Yeah.
But like, okay, so again, this sounds fantastical, but it's actually happening. And if you play, that's why I'm so into like cyberpunk stuff right now, because I'm like, this we're actually entering this zone now, you know, like Cyberpunk 2077, where there's like a jack-in port. So like think of like a USB port but in your head.
Yeah.
So then you can like plug in and like download data, or like, because Cyberpunk 2077 is first person, there's like a heads up display through your eyes, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, that could actually be a real thing, you know?
Yeah.
So when I'm playing the game and like you're going through it and then it's showing you these like, it's like the coolest thing is like, they're speaking Japanese, and then at the bottom the subtitles change from like Japanese characters to English characters, and that's how it would look to us, right? We would hear the Japanese, but we could see the subtitles underneath.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
Or like when somebody's giving you a phone call, it's in the top left corner of your eyes, and you could see the person, but you're still going about your daily life, but like you're taking a phone call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
I wonder if that's why like he put it in the Tesla. Like you can now play Cyberpunk 2077 in the Tesla. So it's like maybe he like saw the game and he's like, dude, this is where we're heading for real.
Well, yeah, I think he would know that. That's the whole Neuralink is already in that, like stepping in that process.
Yeah, totally, right? And it's like, again, it was fantastical when you first hear about it, but then when you see you're actually doing it, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. To see the progress happening.
Yeah, totally. Basically. If you want to like listen to an interview that really encapsulates all of his ideas, it's the World Government Summit, Elon Musk, like where he talks with these like this person in Dubai, and then he goes over all of his ideas and predictions for the future, and like that was like 5 years ago or something, and now we're like hitting what he's saying. Like all of the things that he predicted are like coming to fruition. And one of the things they were saying is like, not like, one of the things that the host was saying is, whereas most people have like predictions, you're not only making predictions, but you're actually actively pursuing them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So it's like, oh, we're going to be doing space travel. It's like, yeah, who's going to be doing it? And he's like, I'm going to be doing it. You know? Yeah. I feel like we're definitely entering into the futuristic zone.
The plan, like especially when we like with the first time having a commercial thing into space, like that's already way beyond where we were before. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Like you're taking untrained well, I mean they'll be trained by the end of it, but like you're taking essentially civilians.
Yeah.
who aren't like like usually if you look at an astronaut, they're like very well equipped, right?
Yeah.
Like if you watch First Man, you know, they're very intelligent, they're physically fit, like they have to check off a bunch of boxes in order to go to space. Yeah. But now it's like, yeah, anybody can go to space if this works. I mean,
yeah. I mean, to even take the step forward to say, you know, we're doing this. So like, they had another plan too earlier, was like flying to the moon and back. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was earlier.
Commercial people?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So that one is like they're still figuring out that rocket. They still have to. They're working on that rocket still.
Okay.
But this is one, kind of like an intermediate, like one in between. First, let's do this one, and then.
Yeah, true. That makes more sense. It makes more sense. Why are you gonna jump so far?
Yeah, and then, because I think they have the one also for, like going to the moon. Who's setting that up too? Like the seat, some guy who has money, and then they're gonna give away the seats.
Oh, okay.
But they're building on that rocket still, the one that they're going to be taking up into to the moon around and back. So,
do you remember NSYNC?
Yeah.
So Lance Bass, he one of like the singers of NSYNC, he wanted to go to space. Like his mission is to go to space, right? So I wonder if like he'll try and get aboard. Like he's probably so excited because like he wanted to like orbit. You know, not as like he doesn't want to be a pilot or anything or an astronaut. He just wants to like go into space. Like if there's any commercial stuff, he would jump on board.
Right.
So maybe. You know that there's like a lot of people totally interested in it. And who's the guy that bought all the seats? It was like he wasn't an artist, right? Was he an artist?
You're talking about the new one, this one, Inspiration one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't remember. CEO of something. I don't know.
Okay. There was also that artist, right? That they were gonna bring into space.
Was that the moon one? You're talking about
maybe the moon one.
The moon one was I think
dude,
a Japanese guy
yeah,
for the moon one. Like he also is like a CEO for like a clothing brand. I can't remember.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then they were gonna bring or select like artists or some like those kinds of civilians.
Yeah.
To see what kind of inspiration they get when they go to the moon.
True.
And back.
That I mean, that doesn't sound so unusual now. Like if this one worked, I mean, I'm sure this one will work. It's not because like
they've had like how many rockets have been
so they know,
right?
So now it's like, but you know what it is? It's like human trials marketed as an opportunity. You know what I mean? It's
but that's what the that's what the NASA astronauts were technically, right?
But again, with NASA astronauts, like you lived your entire life for this mission, right? Like you were like
but you're taking risks because people died.
No, totally right. but these people are more like civilian oriented, right? They're not dreamed of always going to space or something like that, you know?
But dreamed of probably because
probably dreamed of because why else would you do it? But like they never like trained their entire lives to be pilots, and then from pilots they became like
no exactly but this will be the first, and if that happens it's gonna be crazy.
But also because there's no like you're basically just taking a ride. So it's doable. Like there's no like calculations on their part or like
I don't know though what level of training they're going to be getting. Is it just physical training?
Do you think they're going to like teach them how to fly the rocket just in case?
No, it's like if they need to do certain maneuvers, if something ever goes wrong. Like they might teach them some basic things, but not like because they can control most of it's from SpaceX mission control. I don't think they're going to be doing anything.
Did a rocket blow up recently for SpaceX?
Again, there was their second trial for that.
Okay, so it was a
big
trial.
rocket.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah.
They're still working on for it to tip sideways and then tip again to the where it lands again, or tip up.
No, right. They're trying to figure out how to make the rockets allow the ship to maneuver.
Yeah. Quick maneuvering and then landing. So that rocket is what's going to be going to Mars. So they need to work on this thing.
So that kind of failed, but it's like whatever. Like,
well, they've had two of them. Failure in the sense that they're still figuring it out. Like it's part of the whole process.
Right. Totally. Yeah. But like in the media, it was like, oh, like I saw like, oh, in I think it was Russia Today. It's like SpaceX rocket blows up, and then I go to like Twitter, and then Elon Musk wrote like, well, that sucked or something like that. It was like a picture of his rocket blowing up or something. I like that. He's like very human
No, because I think that they know that they expect.
Yeah, totally.
Like when they're doing the trials or the tests, it's like this is like how many times did the rocket fail till they figure it out how to land it, right? So it's like it's the same thing. What they're doing is some drastic maneuverings. They just got to figure out like which is the best way this works.
But yeah, I'm just saying like how the media really took that, ran with it. What was that thing that you were? This is a perfect case study for like media. The
Japanese in the sports field thing.
Yeah.
That he said something about
women in
if you want meetings more women take too long or something.
If you want more women in the board position,
we have to set time limits of.
Yeah. So that was the excerpt that they put.
Yeah.
Like that was like the inflammatory headlines and like whatever that they were like promoting in the media. But then you went.
Well, I mean, that was another place I saw his quote. Didn't directly say it like that. I can't remember what it was.
But so then you researched it and you're like, oh, this actually has nothing to do with. I don't like. I didn't expect to talk about this, so we didn't like prep anything. But like. Yeah, what was the guy's name?
It was different from what was really being said on the internet.
Essentially, they just like, they distorted it to go into like the negative. But like when you look at his original quote and it was like his translation, it was not at all like sexist. It was like, he was just trying to, because they compete. Oh,
they're competitive. And then, I remember now. Yeah, they were trying to be,
so like if one speaks, the other one might feel like they need to speak. Remember that? And that's
yeah.
And then they're competing because it's a male-dominated like environment.
Yeah. Something else. I just think there might have been some lost in translation.
Yeah.
Aspects here. But he did apologize though, because if it was, I guess he rubbed off the wrong way. It wasn't. That's not what he was trying to do. But yeah.
Yeah. So media man always lies. Crazy. Well,
I don't want to say lies.
No, because a lie is a direct contradiction of the truth. But they're skewing it to sell things. So it's like remember like the Michael Jordan thing that I was saying, the owner of the company, and then he said
right.
Said like one man alone can't win this or whatever, and then they just cut it there. But then he's like, it's a team effort. So it's like just like they took one word out to make it seem more inflammatory than what it actually was. Yeah. I mean, that's
when
marketing,
they're the thing is, when they are competing with Twitter and Facebook, this is what's happened.
I was listening to this podcast, like the Your Undivided Attention, and they were saying like they had a reporter on there, and she was saying that you're competing now with like more like Twitter, so it's like up to the second news, right? So you don't always have time to fact check things, so that's one of the issues with social media.
The thing
like
with
stuff will go out,
right, and then like they do make retractions and stuff. The media does, not on Twitter.
Exactly. See that happen,
but they do it on the media though.
And then also who reads the retractions?
Depends on which media though. That's
true too. I'm surprised tabloids get to keep going.
I think it's just like a freedom.
Like everyone knows it's fake.
Something. Yeah.
And it's very weird though, because like you see them all the time, and you're like, this doesn't seem real, or like it's obviously photoshopped in a specific way. It's like, it's almost like, why doesn't that fall under libel and slander?
Yeah, I think I think people have tried to take him on that. It just doesn't work.
Right? Like, is it just considered like creative freedom? Like people should know that it's fake. Like tabloids, I mean.
Yeah.
How do they not get sued?
They try to sue them, but it doesn't work. I forgot what the rules. There's some freedom of speech kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like not considered like news.
Yeah. They're not saying they're news or like nothing like that. It's just entertainment or something.
It's like The Onion. Like that website that does satirical articles. Yeah. But then if you take The Onion as truth, it's like, no, but it's supposed to be satire.
Yeah. But they say they're satire.
Totally. Yeah, tabloids don't do that. So. Or maybe they do in the fine print, and that's how they get away with it. Like, I've never bought a tabloid, but like...
It's always those headings. It's so funny.
Yeah, dealing with drug problems, anorexic now.
Right,
And it's
right,
like,
right.
what?
I don't. Do people buy that still?
That's what I mean. Maybe they do. But then what's weird
I
is
don't
like,
think they do.
if people buy it and they believe it, what kind of person are you? You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah, that's. Well, that's what was fake news before.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. All right, so this is a great segue into our not perfect, our actual, like our main topic, which is that movie, The Man from Earth. So
Yeah.
like, all right, I'll explain why. So like, Elon Musk would be a revolutionary and considered a god, and tabloids distort the truth to like adjust things in a specific light to make the masses believe something that may or may not be true.
Right.
Right. So like in The Man from Earth, the basic premise of the movie is that this guy has lived for what was it 14,000 years?
Yeah, 14,000 years.
14,000 years. And so basically every 10 years when people realize that he doesn't age, he has to move on. So he's leaving in this movie, and well, major spoiler alerts if you haven't watched it, but it's a very old movie, so definitely go check it out, Amazon Prime. So he's leaving, and then they're having like this party for him, and he's explaining how he lives forever, right?
Yeah.
And one of the most like, I don't want to say damning, but like the critical point in the movie is where they find out that he was actually Jesus. Right. And he said he like met with the Buddha and he like learned some stuff, but then he wanted to preach that to people.
Teach that.
Yeah. No, not preach that. Teach that. Just share what he learned about like good nature, about like Buddha. And like he was saying, like Buddha was the most like interesting man I've ever met. And he taught me a lot of things. And then he's like, let me teach what I've learned to other people. Right. And then a lot of key moments in the Bible that people take and like explode it into bigger things, just like a tabloid,
Yeah,
right?
right.
They distort that into the gospel. So for example, he's crucified, and they're like, well, let me see your scars. And he's like, well, first of all, I don't scar, but at the same time, they bound us with a rope, right? But there's a lot of historical things in this movie because they actually did bind people with a rope.
Right. Yeah.
So, so like, because like I was watching like the crucifixion of Jesus and like scientifically explaining it, and they said if they used only nails, it would have ripped. So they had to have bound him with a rope to keep him up there.
Yeah. The whole nail thing is the imagery of it.
Yeah. Totally, yeah. To make it more sensational that's what it is, sensationalized.
Yeah. That's right.
Just like tabloids, right? And then he said like, well, what about your death? And he's like, well, I blocked out the pain as we have been taught through yoga. And then I slowed down my heart rate like the ancient yogis showed me. And I pretended like I was dead. So they buried me. And then he was trying to escape. But he didn't expect that when he escaped, there'd be devotees outside waiting for him. So like they thought he rose from the dead, right? And then that's where that whole story came in. And then the other one was the Sermon on the Mount. He was like, yeah, like I was just telling people some ideas that I thought were good, and like not even like most people didn't even stay till the end, and then they turned that into a whole thing, right? And then like when Wob sent us that video about like Key and Peele,
I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
Yeah.
So like basically in Key and Peele, he's just like saying all these like Zen koans and stuff, and like it's interesting that like because she was saying in the Key and Peele episode, oh, he's got 12 men, right? 12 disciples, right? Yeah. And then it's like, yeah, how could this gigantic belief system that spawned over 12 people believing in this one thing get extrapolated into a whole world religion? Do you get what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
It's like you really took this so far. 12 people, you know? And it's like you never know what lasting impact you'll have when you die.
Right.
I think that's like the main message of the whole movie. You know, like,
Right.
yeah. I don't know your thoughts on the movie because like
Well, yeah, it
you love
was
the
like
movie.
the. I think I always talked about that movie
Yeah, yeah.
as
That's the crazy part. You've always been talking about it, and
yeah,
like,
and then
we randomly found it on
yeah, yeah,
Amazon.
yeah, yeah. It's just the philosophy that was in there, and then uh, like asking certain questions, like, okay, how does a person potentially live forever, or like
Right. Yeah.
that was like in the early parts of it, right? And then it's just the whole like I think what I got out of that it was like how like he never said he was a God believer.
Yeah.
It's just all these stories are stories,
Yeah.
and it's all made up in a sense, right? So
Yeah. Totally.
so
Yeah.
it's like
And it's weird, like after watching that movie, and then I read the when prophecies fail book, and like they were saying it there too. It's like they so that book actually turned out to be about cults, and they kind of liken Jesus to a cult because like he had these 12 people that like changed their entire ways of life and like believed in him and then spread his word,
yeah,
you know. But there's no fact checking back then, and like,
yeah, no,
you know what I mean? And then like in the Genghis Khan book, they're like, oh, the shaman from the East who like, or not East, where's it? Middle East, yeah. The shaman from the Middle East
right.
who like who was the only one that overcame death, you know? And then made people believe in him because he overcame our greatest obstacle, which is dying. But it's like, how do you even know the validity of that story? And then you have all these people believing in something that most likely is just fictitious.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, right, yeah.
That's why I like the movie. Like, it framed it in a way that was like, yeah, human nature is we will blow things up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And make these grandiose stories around certain things that
Yeah, totally.
were just basic stuff that were nothing important.
Yeah, nothing important. But so that's why I bring up Elon Musk in the whole thing, because it's like, if he was there back then, he would be considered a god. You know, like, oh, this guy who could see the future. Like, all right, so he's just making logical predictions, okay? And then we change it to he can see the future,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then like, oh, he's gonna create space travel, right? And then you change it to he's creating a ship for us to meet God, you know, up in heaven.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you can totally, and then even if you watch the way Elon like speaks, it's very like not normal. It's very atypical, right? He'll like pause. He'll look in the air and like he's making a calculation. Then he'll start talking, and it's like, whoa, you just did a whole calculation in your brain. And then people will be like, he's speaking to God in those moments.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like when he pauses and then he looks up at the sky, it's because God is speaking to him.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, right. But that's what I liked about Elon. Like whenever we were watching his interviews, was like he would actually think about the question.
Yeah, he would just give you real presence.
Yeah.
He's really contemplating what is the best answer for me to give you in this moment. You know, whereas most people have like talking points. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But what's weird is because like you could definitely say, because he looks up at the sky and he like his eyes are moving, you could totally be like he's talking to God in those moments, right? It's like the cult of Elon,
right? Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, which is so weird.
I mean, technically, he without him doing that, he is creating like a there's a huge fans of Elon.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Also.
Yeah.
Like, they're looking up at him like that too.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah.
They're already doing.
It's so weird, you know. It's like why do we as a species have to like we need an alpha so bad, you know?
Yeah, that's the DNA and thousands of years, millions of years of that kind of stuff happening.
Right. It feels like almost like diffusion of responsibility, you know, like rather than like taking responsibility for yourself, it's like he knows the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happens with any. Well, it's been there in human nature, right? So it's like there will be some people that are designed to be leaders, and others that are designed to be followers.
Totally, yeah, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and it's like if we don't see that, then we're gonna be lost in I don't know, like illusions.
Yeah, but I think that's all part of it. It's not like it. It is the way it is.
Yeah, no, yeah, but that's why I'm such a huge champion for like evolving past it by like seeing it for what it is. You
Yeah.
know, like it's like that wolf movie, not movie,
Raised by Wolves
Raised
show.
by Wolves. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it just explain what that is because you're watching the show.
Well, not really far into it, but it's just
The premise.
yeah. It's they're raising these kids, at least in the first episode, like by a group of androids who were made by atheists, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Scientists.
yeah, you can say scientists. They had to leave Earth base because of a religious war.
Right.
Um, well, it's just trying to create a society and that thinks objectively, I guess.
Yeah, totally. And like and then the other one is like you're thinking of it spiritually.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a clash of the two, and I don't know what's the end result of the story. Who wins out in a way is. Do we need religion or do we need these stories to create inspiration, or can we create inspiration through the awe of nature already, right? Like, or like we have to create such grand stories around it.
Okay, so essentially it comes down to science versus religion, or science versus art. Let's say art, because religion's sort of like an art because it's like subjective, right? So, or science, objectivity versus subjectivity. That's how I'll break it down, right? You're either going to be fully objective or subjective to the experience. But my thing is, if you're actually if you're 100% objective, you'll understand the benefits of subjectivity. Because if you're objective, you'll know that, what do you call those? Placebo effects actually work.
Yeah.
Placebo effect. So like in subjectivity, you'd be like, these crystals are healing me, right? But objectivity would tell you, yeah, they are, because of the placebo effect. So it's like within objectivity, you can still have subjectivity.
Right.
See what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
That's why I think objectivity wins out overall, because you'll know where things should be placed. You know what I mean?
Like there's a certain level to subjectivity with that, right? Like if it's just like a simple wound to heal, it could do that. Like you can do it on your own, in
Right,
a way,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if it's something like cancer, I don't know if that will work.
You need objectivity.
I think you need objectivity for that kind of stuff.
But that's why I'm saying if we evolve past these lower states of like religion, subjectivity, it's like we can move forward and like Genghis Khan, right? It was okay to be whatever religion you wanted to be. He didn't care as long as at the end of the day you were a Mongol, right? So like in that quote, it's like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but at the end of the day I'm a Mongol, right? And the idea behind that is like, know which matters most. You know what I mean? Like, we're in the real world. If you are governed by subjectivity, then you're deluded.
Well, yeah, and then but if you believe the books, it's God should be the one on top.
And but that's why it was different, the Mongol rule as opposed to like typical rule, because like the Rome, they had like their god, well, Jesus, and then in the Middle Eastern world it's like Allah, and then you have like in China it's like descendant of the king. You have all these empires that are ruling via a connection with God.
Yeah.
But Genghis Khan was the only one that was like, I'm under the blue sky. Like he was trying to be a secularist in a world full of religious believers.
Right.
And I think that's why his rule was so profound, because it's like, yeah, believe whatever religious thing you want, but at the end of the day, it's like it always comes down to like secularism or science, And I feel like that's Because like even with USA, right? How come every president is backed by some religion thing, even though they're supposed to be secularist, right?
Yeah.
That's why they left. It's a secular. Like USA is secular. You know, it's like into their. They wanted to divide church and state.
Yeah.
Right. So then, how come every president? There's no atheist presidents, unless there is. I don't know.
think,
you tell me.
If they go by polls, it's like it. Well, I don't know now. It was before like the polls were showing like they wouldn't vote for an atheist.
Exactly.
So they could be atheists, but they're putting on the front of being religious.
Why? Because at the end of the day, we're chimps, and we need to believe in freaking some higher power. That's why I'm saying it's like you need to evolve past this understanding.
And I feel like that might be happening now.
I think so too. Yeah,
versus before.
Yeah.
It's just now that more information is available, you can, like, when you know more about the religions, you look past like into the history, you realize, wait, why are these stories the same? Like, this is the thing.
That's another thing. Yeah, that's one of the things that brought up in the movie that I really like too.
Yeah.
It's like they kept referencing, because like one of them was like a really religious believer, and she's like, no, you're wrong, you're lying, you weren't Jesus. And then the other scholars there were bringing up how the Christian faith is built up off of other myths, which are like Zeus and Hercules and the Sumerians. Like everything is built up to this point, you know, but like most Christians believe it started with Jesus, but it's like, no, that's like, what was that thing? There's like somebody in the Hindu religion that reminded you of Jesus,
like Krishna's story.
Oh, Krishna. Okay, yeah. So there you go. It's like
they mentioned him too in that.
Yeah. So see, it's like if you just look into it, it's like these are just archetypes that have just been built up over time and codified into this one thing, and that one thing, Christianity, was used to like control the world. You know. Yeah. Because even when we looked it up, remember that like old podcast? If you look up the most dominant religion, the people of the book outweigh everyone, right? Because people of the book are Jews, Muslims, and Christians. Yeah. It's all the same religion. Like those three are like a trilogy, you know?
Yeah. It's mainly the two, right? Even though Jewish people are of the book, but they're not the ones.
But I lump them in there.
No, I understand, but they weren't the ones going around spreading the religion.
I guess not,
as much as compared to Christianity and
yeah, because they had the Christian Crusades, the Dark Ages. That's when they went around trying to like.
Well, it was in their own stories is that in order to save people, they need to believe in Jesus or follow Muhammad's teachings, right? Yeah, it was
to save you, right?
Yeah, it's like to save you. Their idea was So when that is the small
saving, I don't understand.
Because they would go to hell.
Because of the original sin, which is Adam and Eve being kicked out of the garden. That's actually
the original sin is, I think, only in Christianity. It's not in Islam.
Oh, so then we're already saved in Islam.
No, in Islam, you need to like follow the teachings of Muhammad
to get into.
Yeah. So that is like there's no such thing as an original sin. Like why would that? I see so many debates about that.
Yeah, okay.
And that does not involve, I think, in the Islamic religion. It's just about following the teachings, like praying 5 times a day. Like you have to know that, like God is real, and
in order to be saved. Yeah. So it's like there is.
In order not go to not go to. I forgot their word for hell, but hell.
Right. So if you don't put salt around your window or house, any opening in the Philippines, an aswang, which is like a witch, can come in and just like take your unborn baby. So you got to make sure you put salt around, right? But see what I'm saying? It's just as ridiculous. It's like, if you don't do these things, you're gonna go to hell. It's like, show me hell then, or show me the aswang.
Right. Well, that
it's no different than a fairy tale, because you're preying on a psychological belief that has no physical basis in reality.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that if that is the fundamentals or the foundation of that religion, which is
saving
to save, that's why it spread.
It's because of fear.
That was the whole point of it, and it was a way to spread that religion. That was the foundation of it. Well, we have to go and save people, so they don't go to hell.
It's like that movie.
But if
Silence.
the religion is based on, there is no like idea of hell. It's just based on like spirituality. Like that's too much of a big
tenets,
term.
like positive tenets.
Yeah.
Like Buddhism.
Yeah, you can say Buddhism. Even in Hinduism, isn't like anything specific about hell. Like that's why like so many religions can like be involved in.
You're not damned.
Yeah. There's no like nothing like that.
Yeah.
So it's
actually the only religion where you're right out of the gate damned.
Right.
Actually, think about it. Like it's the only religion that right out of the gate you're damned.
Right. Yeah. So
like, yeah, every other religion that I know of, like Shintoism.
Well, they're all based exactly. They're all breaking.
Ones.
Yeah, they're all coming from faction of Buddhism or something like that, right?
Greek religions too,
and the
like
Greek
Zeus,
religions,
Nordic religions. You're not damned in any of those. It's the only one where right out of the gate you're damned, and we need to save you.
Well, that's why that's why it spread,
because of fear.
Yeah,
the fear of being damned.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was like, is it in the book where to spread my word?
No, they did that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, on the Sermon on the Mount,
or it could be like interpretations.
Depends on which version of the Sermon on the Mount that you're reading. So I go back to this. I read all of the Bible, and then I realized, like, you go from like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you get progressively more dark. From Matthew, it's super positive, and then by John, it's like, why am I a cult leader? He's like, we must rule by the sword. I have come through the word and the sword. And it's like, whoa, okay. You changed your tone from Matthew, which is just like straight preaching, to like, follow me.
So that was, I guess, someone wanted control.
But those are also 4 different perspectives of Jesus, right? Yeah. Like, if you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it's the exact same tale told 4 different times. Yeah. Through their perspective. Yeah. So if you actually break that down psychologically, what were each of the authors going through that they put this little touch in there? You know what I mean? Like, maybe John wanted to rule the world. That's why he's like, let me create a Jesus that's ruling.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Matthew was more Buddhist, and he was like, let me just spread some goodness.
Yeah. So, but these are also like the time span of when these books were written, I think, were different too, right?
It wasn't codified till like 200 years later, something like that, after his death.
Right.
Or, I mean, like they started writing about it 200 years later.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on the exact. It wasn't like the day of they were writing it down. It was like
no. Yeah, I don't think they did. Yeah, no.
And 200 years later means that the people that had direct experience with it died.
Already gone. Yeah.
So what are we really writing about? You know? Yeah. Right. Actually, as a fun little thought experiment with the whole young Yoda thing, going back to that, like with that person, shout out to you if you're listening to this. Hey, how's it going? The one that's like, I found a teacher in you. And I was like, what is this? Like, I mean, I just like, have a great weekend. But like, so anyways, so with the young Yoda stuff, if you unlock how it is, like how I told Wob, it's like there are cones, Zen cones. And then like, and then like if you unlock it, you'll like get this revelation, because I'm really just saying, like, I'm just trying to pass on knowledge, right? Sure. Through like a cone. But wouldn't it be so weird if like I died, they just like take those, like, look at these young Yoda quotes that are like, that's why I think it's so funny, because it's like,
well, this is my issue with cones or whatever, analogies and things like that,
because people just take them and run
because
with them.
there can be misinterpretations, and that happens all the time. And
but it's funny to me because you're using the same tactic as like, but no, you're right, it can be misinterpretations, but at the same time it only sticks more in your brain if you figure it out.
No,
like,
I know that, but right. I get that, but like, that's if it's wrong from what you were trying to say,
totally, yeah,
then it's become something.
But you took it, you ran with it, bro. Like,
no, I know.
That's why it's so funny, you know. Actually, I've had that before with that other guy. Remember, like that guy, and I'd always battle him. He'd be like, "Well, why'd you say this?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm like," and then so he was like, I wrote this quote, and then he said something like, he's like, "Oh, that's very negative," and I was like, why did you think it was negative? Because I was like, this is just a Rorschach test on you, bro. You know, it's like, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
that's why I think they're funny. But anyways, yeah, but like it's very innocuous. Like that's why I like Zen. It's like whatever you believe is what you want to believe, bro. Like we're all getting there on our own ways. You know, if you get misconstrued, you get misconstrued. If you understand, you understand. You know, like the going back to that Key and Peele thing, it's like it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven. When I like studying Zen cones now, I'm like, oh, Jesus was using Zen cones. Those are Zen cones. Because if you don't get it, like in that skit, the guy didn't get it. It's funny, but like if you get it, it hits harder. What's that thing they say now? Like it hits different when you get it.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, so like, yeah. I just find them magical. Zen codes. I just putting that out there. Yeah, but it goes back to like that whole idea within the Man from Earth that he learned things from Buddha, because Buddhism gave birth to Zen.
Right. Yeah.
And if Jesus is using Zen cones, it's like he must have learned something from.
Well, there's been stories of that too.
Yeah, in the Lost Years of Jesus, when he in that book, the reason why we don't have from age was like 13 to 30, like you lost all these years, but it's because his name wasn't Jesus, his name was Isa. And like if you just go by Isa, you actually find all of these scriptures and like historical references of this person called Isa, who like left Jerusalem, went on the Silk Road, trained in Tibet, trained in India, came back to the Silk Road to go back to Rome and spread what he learned.
Right.
Actually, maybe that's where the author of The Man from Earth got the idea from.
Yeah, these are not like
because that is what happened. Like if you just change his name from Jesus to Isa, you actually find all of the info.
Didn't he say his name? Well,
John.
No, but it was something else, and then it changed to that to Jesus some other way. But I think Isa was used also in the movie. No,
I don't remember, but yeah,
because I remember him like. How did your name become Jesus?
From John. He's like, I always use John.
Yeah. So there's like translations of the name.
Yeah.
That
he who comes from God or something is the ending of it. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So it's the moral of the story here is that you can take one idea and extrapolate it so far to like, this is not what I meant at all.
Yeah.
They even said it in the movie, right? Like if Buddha and Jesus found out what had come about today through their name, they would either laugh or cry. Yeah. Because they're like, what just happened? You know? I just had a good idea. It's the cult of Elon, right? I just had a good idea to get us to Mars. He was like, if like, let's say an asteroid hit right now and then only a few people survived and they knew about Elon, they'd be like, he was trying to build an ark to get us off of Earth because he knew the impending doom of. Like even Elon says it too. He's like, there is like the potential threat of a third world war. But then if you take that, you're like, the end of days, he's trying to save us on an ark to space. That's why he wants to bring us to Mars and the moon, because God's wrath is coming again. If you actually look at it like that, it totally makes sense. Yeah. But you can't change the mind of somebody who believes. That's actually how that cult book opened up, the When Prophecies Fail. I really love it. It's like you can't change the mind of somebody with conviction because you show them facts, they won't question your sources. Yep, exactly. You tell them they're wrong, they'll turn away. You can't change somebody's mind once it's like burned in there. Unless you have a scientific mind, which is objectivity, because science is always questioning what it believes and like retesting to make sure it's true. You know? Right. Because even like, I found this interesting. I want to read this book. It's called Proving Einstein Right. So apparently during Einstein's day, they thought he was crazy. They were like, he's not, like, we look at him now like, what a genius. But it took like people proving what he knew. Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't just become that you agree with this, but that's not what all scientists is like that. Yeah. You criticize.
Right. A truly open mind is a cynical one. Yeah. Right. Because you're like, Prove it to me.
Right.
Just prove it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point of being a scientist, was to do that. And then they're still using those equations today, right? So
yeah, totally.
And like
actually,
some of those proofs are happening now, not during his time.
Yeah, no, they're just like, you don't know what you're talking about, because they didn't have the tools, right? But he's like, I'm sure it works this way.
Yeah.
You know, just like Elon, right?
Well, that was the thing. Same thing. Like for a long time, it was Newton's method worked, but then Einstein was the one. Wait, there's some layers here changing of gravity that we're not talking about.
Yeah,
he saw it something differently.
Yeah, totally. Actually, in that show that you were showing me about Einstein, it's because he was a yogi. He could see. Well, I mean, this actually turned out to be true, but like a lot of scientists were into the occult, like the esoteric stuff.
Yeah.
Like did I ever tell you about the Emerald Tablets?
Maybe I don't remember.
Basically, it's in Egypt, and they have these like Emerald Tablets, which theoretically came from Hermes, which is the god of wisdom.
Right.
And he wrote down all of these like laws, like action, reaction, just like general laws about nature, right? And so apparently, like Newton was really into that, and that's where he got his like his principles of physics. Like every action has a reaction, right? That's actually in the Emerald Tablets, and apparently he studied those.
Right.
I mean, but apparently, right? Who knows? Right?
He can't. He's not here to ask.
We're not here. Yeah, to be like
to confirm or deny.
Yeah, true. Or maybe they're just like so basic principles.
Well, I think we will do that. Yeah, it's like even we will. There will probably we add things to these people that are not true.
That's true. Yeah.
We always do that.
Yeah. Like in the I was reading that Genghis Khan book, and then it's slightly distorted from the video you read, and it's also slightly distorted from other things, like other like writings about them, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, because you never know, like you'll never fully know. You have to read all of these sources and then be like, I think it's this one. That's why I don't care about the story, though. I just look at the principles, because I'm like, who cares? Like, if he died on this day or this day, who cares if that's how he won the war?
Well, yeah, that doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, but the guiding,
the tenets.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Like that's what I'm looking for in books. By the way, like, it's like, because you'll never know. Like, you can't just read one book and be like, this is it. You have to keep reading. Right.
Like, are we going to talk about Genghis Khan or? Yeah,
sure. Wait, what do you want to talk about?
No, like, I don't think people know that, like what he did that affected the world.
Oh, I don't even know this is a topic, but because I finished it yesterday, so like so like so everyone doesn't know. Actually, this is a perfect addition to this talk. So we all know about like the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, the British Empire, but nobody really knows about the Mongolian Empire, and they're the ones that actually like restructured the world in a way that allowed us to have Western society today by opening up trade, by connecting East and West. You know?
Yeah, because a long time that's the thing that was like for a long time with the Dark Ages, Europe was disconnected from the world.
Yeah. Yeah, but the reason why is because they believed that everything else was satanic.
Yeah.
Actually, so when the Mongols tried to like invade the Christian church, they looked for anything in the Bible that matched the resemblance of the Mongols, and they came up with Tartarus. Tartarus is hell, right? Isn't that Greek?
I think so. It sounds like something Greek.
So in the Bible, they talk about Tartarus, and then they called these people like Tartars, something like that. And so basically, they were like demonic beings.
There was a tribe called Tartar, or like I was watching like the different.
That was the Mongols. They just gave them that name.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what they did was they blamed the Jews. They said because of the wickedness of the Jews, God has forced upon us these like demonic beings.
Yeah, okay.
But only demonic because they were wearing fur, they were riding horses. Like,
well, they're not of their norm.
Yeah, their faces were more flat. You know, they had Asian eyes, stuff like that. So it's like they were like, oh, it's not humans. You know, they're probably more muscular because they were like on horseback all the time, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like they distorted that image. Yeah. But what did you want to say about
Well,
that?
yeah, no, it was like, well, because of them, like paper came from China. Gunpowder
too.
came from China.
And what I found really interesting
through the
is
Silk Road there, yeah.
what they were saying is that
and the compass. So that probably helped us get to North America and where we are.
Yeah,
right now.
totally. Yeah, so. Totally. Yeah. And what I thought was really cool about the Silk Road is they said that I would love to have lived during this time just to walk it. I would have walked it. That would have been like a life mission.
Well, it'd be great to have just a time machine. I don't not necessarily want to live in it, just want to like visit it.
Yeah, visit it. Yeah.
Visit it.
So apparently the Silk Road was so safe during the Mongol time because they hunted pirates and like thieves.
Mm-hmm.
It was so protected that you could walk from one end to the other with a gold plate on your head, day or night, and you'd be safe. Like, that's crazy, bro. And we don't talk about this. You know?
Yeah.
But the reason why we don't talk about it is because of like, well, one, they didn't have a major city, so that probably made it.
Yeah, but the thing is, their roots were based being nomadic. So
yeah, so like, they wouldn't have a city. Yeah. But the other thing as well is the propaganda against them, like the Christian church, but also that playwright from Paris,
Voltaire.
Yeah, Voltaire. Yeah. And then he used them. He lumped them in with the Huns, which weren't even during around the same time.
Yeah, they
when
were
we
way
looked
back.
It out.
Yeah, way in the.
And he just lumped them all as like these barbarians, right? So then other authors started using them as the villain. It's no different than 300.
Yeah.
Right? Like 300, we look at the Persians and we're like, oh, they're so evil. But actually, if you look into Persian history, they're supposed to be really like peaceful people. But if you watch the movie 300, you're like, oh, they're evil.
Yeah.
Right? So that's basically what happened. So then the Hollywood of that time started to like position Mongols as the enemy. And then it wasn't until 1930, this Indian, who's the guy? You're like, he's the first Prime Minister?
Prime Minister, yeah, Nehru, as you said, Jawaharlal. I can't say his. I don't remember his first name.
So that
but
guy,
Nehru was his last name.
When I read it to you, you're like, oh, I know this guy, and then you googled it, and it was like he was the first Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Of India.
Yeah.
So he was in jail for peace crimes. Like he was trying to like promote
against
peace.
the British, yeah.
Yeah. So he was in jail, and then he was like, we should actually revisit this Mongol history. Because do we actually know that they were evil? Because like, I guess like in Asia, they have a different perspective of the Mongolian Empire than we do. I'm saying that we don't remember them because we're in the West. In the East, they remember the Mongols because like, it's a part of their history.
Right. I think in the Central Asia kind of areas.
Yeah.
I don't know if they teach that in China.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
right.
Because they dominated.
Yeah. In India, well, they're connected based on like the descendants stuff. It's like the Mughal Empire.
Yeah, which came from the Mongols, but like that was already they were already
and then
done.
Kublai Khan and Muslims, because there were Muslims who were the Mughal Empire.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like
Kublai Khan was a Mongol, and he was a Muslim.
He converted to
the Islamic faith.
Yeah. So, like that's how I know the name, but nothing really directly talking about Genghis Khan.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It's like forgotten about. He's like this dude that rose up from like the low ranks and freaking changed the world for the better, like positivity, you know? Yeah. Fascinating. And, I just think that like if we distort history in this manner so simply, what else is distorted? You know what I mean? Like it took...
Yeah. Well, isn't that the phrase "winners write history"? That's already they're distorting.
Yeah, true.
The actual.
I was reading this thing online, like how come like Genghis Khan versus Alexander the Great? Because I always I knew about Alexander the Great. I was like, he's the greatest. Like,
well, the name "Great" is in there, so
yeah,
it's like that's
you're right. Yeah. But apparently, like Genghis Khan, he controlled 4 times the land. That Alexander did. Yeah. Again, we don't know about Genghis Khan, but the reason why is because, like in that forum that I read, they were saying that it's because Alexander the Great fits the archetype of what Western society is, which is like Greek, like you know what I mean, like it fits better in Western history than like some dude from Asia that just like reshaped the world.
Yeah. Maybe it's the European dominance.
Yeah, because we live in the Western world, European world.
Yeah.
Which is actually really fascinating when you think about it, that we live in the European world.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because you always hear like North American world, right? But it's actually the West.
Yeah.
Like, like I mean, like we call it the West, but it's built up of a European empire, and we don't think about that. We think of it like the West. We think of it like America started, Canada started. That's where we begin our history, right? You know what I mean? But like the world's been around for so long. It's like, how did we get here?
Right.
We are like descendants of the Romans and the British. Britain became Rome. I mean, Rome became Britain, and then Britain became U.S. U.S. became Canada.
U.S. became Canada? Well, technically, you're Britain still.
We're still Britain, yeah. No, but I mean, like moving upwards. Like, we started to expand in North America. And then that's when they, like, separated the lines of, like, we're American now.
It was a mix, right? Like, it was Britain that came, but also, like, Spaniards who owned Mexico. They had the...
Right.
And the French. That's why New Orleans is kind of very Frenchy.
Oh, Frenchy. Yeah.
Like, yeah, and Quebec.
Right.
Because of France.
Totally, yeah. So I'm just saying, like, it's important to look at history because then it shows you how we got here today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one final thing. One final thing before I move on to the very, very final thing, because I want your opinion on this.
Okay.
So the Assassin Order. So like the Alamet. So it was in the Genghis Khan book. They talked about the people in the Alamet. So I thought the Alamet was fake, which is like this like cult tribe of people.
Yeah, right. The story may be fake.
The story's fake, but the
concept,
like the foundation is real. Like it's actually built off of like the actual events of that story are fake, but like the idea is real. I didn't know that. And then like they said that the Alamet influenced Assassin's Creed. Right. And so basically, if you played Assassin's Creed, it's an assassin-based order, right? That like conducts these missions. But if you actually really look into Assassin's Creed, it's an Islam versus Christian video game.
Yeah.
Because the Templars, which are the Christians, and then the Assassin Order, they follow the Muslim faith. They're going against the Christians. They're conducting these assassination missions. Right. But so that's real, and that's a mind blow to me that like, so assassin came from hashashin, which is like hash users, and hash is weed. So it's like these people just smoked a lot of weed, believed in God, and they were like, we need to freaking kill the other people to bring back the power of God. You know what I mean? And then if you look at like the jihadis, like the 9/11 people, that's the same thing. It's like they believed in the holy war to bring down the empire, which is Western civilization.
Yeah, to them, yeah.
History, fascinating. Okay, so final thing. What do you think about Lil Uzi Vert's diamond in his skull?
What do I think about it?
Yeah. Apparently it's $25 million.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. I just think that what happens nowadays is just for attention. Attention.
Yeah.
And
it's very weird to me. I'm like, what?
No, I see this happening. Like
people do anything now for attention.
Well, this is the evolution of that. Before, how it was, what you would do to be different, right? Like you can see, like there's the normal rap. Like how do you get yourself out there? Well, Eminem was like
the white rapper,
but like talking about against his mom, like you know what I mean, like that kind of was like the
selling
thing.
Points, marketing points, yeah.
And then it's like, how okay, how do you beat that? Then how do you beat that? Listen, you got that's what I mean.
Oh, interesting. It's just a game of like
how do you
one-upping the other person,
and that's how you go into this. Who's the other guy? Is it Lil Pump? I don't remember the other
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah. So like he did
tattooed
like,
6ix9ine on his head.
Yeah, and like he had to be different too. Like when you're competing with this people who are already like getting famous because they're different, how do you compete to that? Well, you have to go even more crazier. Then who's going to come after this guy?
Right, dude.
So this is what I mean, like why it's just a method of get their name out.
Wow, that's crazy, bro. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
It's just like a one-up competition.
Yeah.
The next dude's gonna cut off his own arm, put a cyborg arm, and be like, "I'm the cyborg."
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah. The reason I see this is because you can see it on Twitch.
Oh, okay.
Because there's so many people on Twitch. How do you get yourself out there?
Like the Tourette's girl.
Right. Well, like she's been there for a while.
Right. Okay.
But like for a normal person, how do you get out there? You got to do different things that are causing. Oh, like the whole news sort of thing around it.
And everyone's gonna want to check it out.
Everyone's gonna go check them out.
Oh, that's true, yo.
This is how that works, I feel.
So, like, when you saw that, you were like, when I saw that, I was like, that's weird. But like, you saw it, and you're like, oh, this is just another attention-seeking thing.
Well, it's a way to get his name out there again.
Yeah, true. I saw that headline where it's like, he might die because of the implant. Like, it could kill him.
But didn't he say he said that? Didn't it? Like you
I
said.
don't know.
So like, how do we know that?
True. That's just
like that's another attention thing. Oh, he did it
like,
till he might die. Like, oh, his name got out there again. And it's like,
yeah, sure,
what?
Sure. Yeah, we're talking about him because I never listened to music.
Exactly. This is what I mean.
And it's all on my feed. Like, did you see Little Pump's, a Little Uzi Vert's Diamond?
This is what I mean by what's happening.
What a weird world. Yeah, you have Neuralink. You have people going to space. You have people implanting diamonds in their foreheads.
Well, I mean, it's not far from implanting chips in your.
I was about to say it's like if you play Cyberpunk 2077, you see all these weird people. That's Lil Uzi Vert right there.
Yeah.
Crazy tattoos all over your face and stuff. And like,
in a way, he's gonna make it normal, and then it'd be normal to have chips in your brain then.
That's true. That's true. Crazy world. Okay. Yeah, till next time. Keep on looking up. Don't fall for crazy cult people, and see how far you'll go for attention. Yeah. All right. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.